involved, they become more as a influence. Uh, and they work directly, or here the teachers work directly with the students throughout this process to ensure that their concerns and aspirations are consistently understood. When they become a partner, they are almost co-creator, and they partner with the faculty partners with students in each aspect of the initiative, from identification to the solution. And then the students later stage, the last stage is empowering the students, and then the student gain more control and they are decision makers. So student design and they lead the initiatives that matter to them, and they are in the control of the final decision making. Now, with this particular concept in mind and the definitions which I've told you, let's see in this webinar how this concept can be put forth in our educational practices. And I request Dr. Sucheta to take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Nima, for that. So Nima and I were discussing as to how we can connect this in our kind of situation. And we realized that good old 12 roles put forward by Harden could help us in taking this forward. And as all of you are aware, that the 6 roles are converted into 12 roles into minute, in my more minute detail. And next, please. So if you were to look at the 12 roles, Nima, next. We have the information provider in the lecture and in the work context, the role model on the job and in more formal teaching settings, the facilitator as a mentor and learning facilitator, the student assessor and curriculum evaluator, the curriculum and course planner, and the resource material creator and study guide producer. So with this in mind, next, we decided to think of what is it that it entails when it comes to the teachers as an information provider. The teachers provide information in more interactive, exploratory, and diverse ways, no doubt. But there is a lot of stress on the students in a way, if you're not very creatively inclined, to make your teaching learning strategies creative. And a lot of thinking is being challenged. And the bedside teaching, patient care, lab work, there's so much that all of us need to do. In this scenario, to even lessen the burden that all of us feel, what can the students do? So next. Nima, next, please. Yeah. So as an information provider, the students can be linked to clinical sites, programs, to work with patients to achieve better outcomes. I'm sure most of you, us who come from the public hospitals will say, oh my God, our students do that all the time. But can it be streamlined? Can we put it into a proper nutshell so that we make the maximum out of this? We need to foster collaborative learning environments so that there is a good give and take. And with students, we can take their help in the use of technology. And we do ask our PGs to help us in in the laboratories or in the teaching of small courses or in just taking a tutorial. So active participation in the classrooms is what we are doing at the moment. I would like to ask the audience to just to put in the chat box, do you have any more ideas that we can put forward, and we can sort of compile them all and put it forward to everyone? That what else do you think, where else can we take the help of our students as partners in being information providers? I'm just looking at the chat, and I'm hoping that Anshu is saying all forms of self-directed learning are useful in being more learner-centric. So true. Swapnil says peer teaching. Thank you, Swapnil. Yes. So there are many ways in which we can take the help of our students. Adil says dissection hall teaching. So true. So true. So keep on thinking about this, and we go on to the next slide, and then see. And in the next role, Bhanu Prakash says problem solving. Thank you for that. The next role is a role model. Now, this role model that we are talking about, it depends totally on the institutional and the classroom climate. The kind of atmosphere that is being created by us. Is it authoritative? Is it democratic? Is it permissive? Is it open? Or is it cold? Or is it warm? So we need to align this atmosphere that we teach our students into very constructively, and that is when we our uh, being as role model can go a long way. Next. So yes, family adoption program is something that is saying. Anshu says reciprocal teaching as far as the earlier role was concerned. And now, when it comes as being a role model, I was thinking, maybe being a class representative for a unit, end of semester class evaluation survey, they can be taken to help. Now the university, I mean, the NMC is also recognizing the students as representatives, because they have said that as a part of the curriculum committee, we should have a student representative. So somewhere that idea of student as a partner, student as being allowed to have a say is there. And another, someone also mentioned peer teaching here, and here we can have peer assisted study session leader over here. And last but not the least, I would say emulating the teacher. No wonder they say imitation is the best form of flattery. So we, being as good role models, we can help them to maybe imitate us. So next, please. Then the third role is or the sixth the third role, or the fifth and the sixth role, is the facilitator as a mentor and learning facilitator. Now, as a mentor, think of the mentorship program that we are doing. Think of the teaching learning strategies that we are helping the students. All our SDL and all is all a part of being facilitators for mentors. We have so much to do. Maintaining a log, establishing a supportive relationship, promoting socialization in the school setting, helping to identify pressing duties and prioritizing time. Many people say, "Waqt kidhar hai?" We don't have the time to do all this. And we also need to help our students suggest ways to communicate effectively, and not just effectively in the milieu, but we need to also communicate effectively with the parents. Modeling a commitment to school improvement is, there are so many things that we have thought of. So when it comes to being a mentor, I want all of you to think now and let me know that what do we need our students to do. I have put down my thoughts in the next slide, but I would love to have something from you all too. Next, please.
Next.
Mentoring programs is obviously one of them. Conversations with instructors to improve the teaching practices, aid in critical and lateral thinking. And, we had this concept in our mentorship program in KEM as to have associate preceptors, where the immediate senior batch liaisoned with the students and the preceptors, and we helped. So yes, Medha, rightly, this is what I meant by the associate preceptors, mentoring the juniors, training the mentors to deal with difficult mentees. Yes, Anshu, that is where we can take the help of the students. Peer mentoring, co-creation of learning resources is what Ravi Shankar says. So thank you so much. And Gurjeet Singh says motivation and listening to their problems. That is also so important that all of us stop, wait, listen, see what they have in mind. What are their views? And you have an environment which allows them to speak up. And you just say, now come on, tell me what's wrong. If you do that, no one's going to come and tell you anything. So the right kind of attitude. And another thought that comes to my mind is maybe we need to train our teachers also to have the right kind of an attitude. And Swapnil says, as success on Duolingo, learning a new language. Yes. And senior students helping the juniors is what our associate preceptors did. And yes, it was extremely, extremely successful. So because we had most of the junior students talk to the associate preceptors more than they talked to their mentors or the preceptors. And so that is one case which worked very well. Thank you. Thank you for that, everyone. Next, please. The student assessor and program evaluator. We have seen this umpteen number of times, this teacher training cycle. We've seen this in all our revised basic workshops, the CISP, everything boils down to ultimately assessment. And also, ultimately, with this CBME that's come in, it also depends on what kind of a program have we put across to India, and can we evaluate this, and is it successful, or how well is it working, and how in this big huge country of ours with so many medical colleges are we ever going to find out how this is being done. And that is the reason why we will definitely need the support of our students. Next. And for that, we can take the help from them for drafting assessment questions, developing marking criteria with instructors as part of a class, co-designing assessment tasks with the instructors, peer review of the assessment for other students, self-assess your own work as a part of an assignment, giving feedback for the course, selecting from a choice of assessment topics in the class, and of course, last but not the least, negotiating assessment deadlines with instructors. I mean, the students, we can have students as the voice of the whole college, of the whole medical school. And we can take tips from them to see how best learning can occur. Because I would just love to use the oft use statement, assessment drives learning. And that is the reason why we need to make our students partners also in this whole assessment business. Next, please. We need to think this. Do we or can we take the help of our students in curriculum and course planners? As curriculum and course planners, all of us are involved in the curriculum design, coordination with the administration, all the documentation and the paperwork, use of technology now with all this online happening, teacher evaluation, encouraging teamwork, so much that we have to do that in fact the NMC said put one student also there as part of the curriculum committee. And that student is there now. So I want all of you to now think and tell us, Nima and me, what is it or where will you use his offices in the curriculum committee? Next, please. But here are a few of my thoughts. So I'll just let you show them to you. We can get the student fora to discuss the curricula, the teaching learning methods, the resources. We can negotiate the assessment criteria and grade weightings with the instructors so that they can take ownership of their own learning process. What else do you think we could do? I would like a feedback in the chat, please. Anshu has said this, which is, and Ravi Shankar also have said that some changes take time to be implemented, and that is so true. And mid-course feedback always helps to, where our curriculum goes, we can change or alter the course that we are taking. So, yes, that is where we can do. Uh, Swapnil says deciding topics for SDN. Yes, yes. In fact, that is where, uh, uh, sometimes I feel that the whole idea or the definition of self-directed learning is now being misused because we've been just given these slots of SDL in our timetable, and the teachers just go and they're not doing self-directed learning for the students. They're not even asking them what is it that is troubling you, and do you want to probe this further and do the self-directed learning. So that is another, a topic for another webinar, I think. But that is what we need to do. Take their help, find out students' inputs on clinical posting, assistant designing, ZM Manoj Patki is saying assistant designing assessment tool. Maria is saying creating resources for learning. So true. Ravi Shankar says maybe a stepwise process. Medha Zoshi says students' inputs on clinical posting and skill labs. Uh, Swapnil says topics for remediation. Yes, yes, so much that we can do. Next, please, Nima. Then the another goal, another role that Harden put forward was resource material creator and study guide producer. You will notice that none of these roles are in silos. And whatever we are saying, sometimes in that same role, we're saying the same things again. But there is no harm in that. I hope all of us have realized this, that Harden gave us these 12 roles, but he did not put them into silos and said, this is it, and you cannot sort of intermingle these two. So when it comes to the resource material creator, we are talking in terms of modules, class notes, and of course, distance learning strategies there where people can do. So communication, as Sanjay Bedi rightly says, is the key with the students. And we need to have situations where they can relate with, as Abhishek says. And Akanksha says, suggestions for topics for repetition will be needed. And a Zoom user who's the nameless says, students' inputs for defining the muddiest point. Maybe that's Josna. So thanks for that. And Maria says, yes, it is dynamic. And this whole process is dynamic. Next, please. So we also need to introduce to ourselves the concept of adaptive e-learning, which deals with an approach to introduce technologies. COVID-19 pandemic and its consequences had an impact on private, professional, and social life of the general population and each of the groups. And the environment can be altered based on the styles according to each person. And we can have e-learning modules which can be built to suit each and every student, maybe not each and every student per se individually, but at least groups of students. Next, please. So, undergraduate research projects, the pandemic module which we put forward and the students then put it into action was a marvel, I tell you. Whatever was there, we put it into action at ERAS, and it was all there for people to see and to work collaboratively. Co-designing the course materials with the instructors and co-authoring a manuscript with an instructor. I remember when way back when we had one of my students got the STS, and we we sort of worked together in the laboratory talking about the pre-analytical variables, and we published, and we said we gave him authorship for that for the work that he did, and I'm sure he is a happy student today. So that is how we can, get our students to help us. Next, please. I would like to quote, there is this paper in 2021 which talks about the COVID-19 pandemic, and they say that health profession students are more motivated by a sense of purpose or duty, altruism, perception of good performance, and values of professionalism than by their interest in learning. See, this is a very profound statement. And all of us, I think, experienced this during the pandemic, where the students just rose to the occasion. None of us in the public or the private medical colleges could have run our hospitals had it not been for the students who felt motivated and uh, did their bit to save the community at large. And these results have implications for the development of volunteering programs and the design of health force policies. And that is something that all of us should root for. And all of us should try and hone this as much as possible. Next, please. So, before going into handing over to Nima, who will talk about beyond teaching, learning, assessment, I would just like you to spend a minute to tell us what else do you think that the students could do. Just keep writing, keep thinking, but do not. I mean, we will stop after a minute because we want you to listen to what we are going to say further. I'll just give you a minute. And then over to Nima to talk about teacher-student relationships in HPE beyond teaching, learning, and assessment. Over to you, Nima.
When we are talking about beyond teaching, learning, and assessment, there will be some overlap between what Sucheta mentioned earlier. But we were looking also for the evidences for whatever we were saying. Because as I said earlier, they were our thought processes, and we wanted to see whether there are some thought processes similar to what we are thinking are already in the literature. So it will be not just beyond, but it is also finding out the evidences. One thing is the subject-based research and inquiry, which Sucheta said, not just our postgraduate students, but our undergraduate students can be with us as partners. Scholarship of teaching and learning, this I will elaborate, and the curriculum design and pedagogic consultancy, which she has already mentioned, but some of the examples. We always want undergraduate students engaged with research and inquiry because that broadens their research skills, and that is very useful when they are even practicing as doctors. Previously, all institutions or most of the institution had some small research projects for the students, and there are enrichment programs by ICMR, and I'm sure you are aware of that short-term studentship program for students. But now the National Medical Commission has also recognized for the earlier 5 roles, they have also put researcher as a role for our IMG. And it has been mentioned that that has to be integrated into curriculum throughout the phase. So it's starting from the phase 1 to last phase 3. And when we are talking about that, I came across a reference which is old one, 2009, and that is from United Kingdom, but it is a very beautiful reference. And this particular reference is not, also tells you another model of partnership, but which is related to the research. Now you can see here there are two axes, horizontal and vertical. And if you look at the left-hand side axis, there is, so you can see the emphasis on research content. And there could be the research led, where there is a learning about the current research in the discipline, or it is a research tutor, as they termed it, that getting the students engaged in the research discussion. On the other hand, towards right side is an emphasis on research processes and problems. And they could be research oriented or research based. Research oriented is developing the research and inquiry skills and techniques, maybe through workshops or other things. And research based is taking part into the research and inquiry. The lower half of it puts the student relatively as a passive mode or as an audience. Whereas if you look at the upper half, the research tutor and research base, where the students are the participants and they can have a potential to become partners. You can read this, but it is freely available and you can read it because it gives number of examples from across the countries, across the universities, how the universities have put forth their own research model. Now, why I'm telling you that? Because in our institution also in KM, it was felt that the undergraduate students also only started feeling that they are not very equipped with research skill. They wanted to apply for studentship, but at times the faculty is not supporting it, and therefore there are multiple hurdles are there, and they themselves took an initiative, and they constituted this association, which is called as Association for Support and Propagation of Innovation, Research and Education. The acronym is ASPIRE. Now, this ASPIRE, it's developed this initiative in partnership with teachers, and there were a number of activities were planned by the students taking more lead, and taking whenever they require, they ask the faculty members to join as an expert. They are giving research consultation services, research databases creating, sessions in collaboration with institutional ethics committee, writing medical literature, the sessions on that. Then educational visit to various areas in the institution where research labs are there, interactive sessions, then designing and validating questionnaires or community-based research studies, and having journal club. The effectiveness of this model has was presented in last NCHP at Dehradun by our undergraduate student as effectiveness of Aspire to empower undergraduate medical students. But what is heartening is that all these decisions they were initiated by the students, and later on, now also these activities are going on at a very large scale, and they are all student driven, and the students have developed the expertise and they are taking the session. Not only that, there is a handful amongst the different students of the different institutions, and in 5 institutions they have established this student research councils, student research council as they are calling it, so that the undergraduate research gets promoted. This is one example. You can publish such type of research in their journals. You can see the International Journal for Student as Partners or Journal of Educational Innovation, Partnership and Change. But the students can be, usually we take students as a participant or a subject for scholarship of teaching or teaching learning research, that is SOTL research, but they can be taken as partner. And there is a paper which was published in the International Journal of Scholarship and Teaching Learning in 2018 by Kevin Bonney. And it's a very interesting paper. The objectives were of this paper that what they did, they synthesized the case studies. We use case studies for teaching, and this was teaching biology. They developed case studies for biology teaching. They had one objective of publishing and presenting their work publicly, that is after development. But they also wanted to engage students in the SOTL research study design and promote an inquiry-based learning involving students. Now, these cases which they developed, formulated, they will have to, their effectiveness has to be judged only by using them in the teaching. So whether they promote learning or not. So that research was carried out with students as partner, and he has given his experiences while working with the students. Not that everything was smooth, and he has discussed the challenges, and that one should read what could be the challenges amongst this. And he has put a small table at the end, giving challenges, outcome, and what could be the lessons learned, and what are the tips for future. His one thing was that when the students are your partners, your original time planning may go haywire, because you have to, it is both ways. There may be a lot of discussion, there may be some training, extension of idea. So they could not stick to the time which was planned as they submitted the proposal. The another interesting thing happened, that when these cases were put for that research project, and the university allowed them to have the students as their co-investigator. But it was the ethics committee said, or the IRB mentioned, that they can't have access to the data collected because it is the data of their peers, and that is not ethically not correct. And some of the IRBs are from other institutions are also of that opinion. So when you are taking students as partners, this could be one of the ethical issues. Now, the Sucheta mentioned about involving students in curriculum design, and that is also a model by Boville and Bullitt, which was developed mainly for involving students in the curriculum design. And like the earlier model, which I told you, going from inform, consult, then participate and partner and empower. Here also the model goes from the totally directed by the tutor controlled model or the strategy, and then slowly taking feedback from the student, then student having choices, initially maybe only in prescribed areas, then the student can select some areas of choice, and later on the student can go, or it is a student control model where they have a hand say in the decision making. Then we were looking whether such type of thing has happened somewhere, and we found that there was a letter which was published in this American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education in 2015. This letter is written by a PharmD student, and this PharmD student was from Manchester University College of Pharmacy in Indiana. Now, the, as a university regulation or the course, one of the part, they were involved in the advocacy project in population health management course. And they were supposed to do some gathering of, again, experiences as a part of that in pharmacogenomics. Now, pharmacogenomics that time was not the topic for in their course, but they took the help of their mentor, the project mentor, and they took the help of others as well from other experts. But the students searched those experts. So the some of the someone from National Institute of Health USA who has a previous employee, so they contacted that, and they decided that they will should get the experience and how everything is going on in NIH on pharmacogenomics. And they gather so much of information as a final product. They could come out with a core syllabus if pharmacogenomics is to be taught in the for PharmD students, what should be the syllabus. And that was when presented, and it was so impactful that they were requested to collaborate on ideas on learning outcomes for another upcoming course on pharmacogenomics by that instructor. So the reflection of the student, what he felt while going through this particular process and its own ideas, they have been mentioned in this letter. So this type of activities are going on. We have seen this is one study that which was conducted and which was published in 2020, and where the teachers were asked what is their opinion of having the student as partner. So some of the teachers say that no, the teachers can. Our job is to teach, and the students' job is to study. They can't be the partners with us because they don't. They lack the expertise, and how can they be the partner? But a group means at least more people than those who said that teacher teach and students study, they were a little proactive. And they said those teachers teach, but they value students' feedback. So a little step further and than what the earlier group. Whereas there were some teachers, they said were very uh, positive for this idea. They said that, and they had some their own experiences for this, and they said that students can co-create teaching and learning. So there were three groups, Messi. To same group, it was asked what could be the conditions under which this can happen. So they said that organization should be supportive. Then they said the student must be motivated, communicate, as you were saying earlier. And they said the teacher must be open to involve students and be aware of what could be the possibility. There should be a dialogue. But one thing they mentioned, and I would like to draw your attention to, this teacher should have final say. Now, once someone puts that the teacher should have final say, it is contradictory to the entire concept. Because when we say partnership, both the parties are equal or they have their own expertise and that's why they are collaborating. But in a partnership, if one party is saying that the teacher should have final say, and they have reason for saying that, they say that ultimately who will face the management? If there is something the teachers or students are involved in the curriculum designing and something goes wrong, the teachers are responsible for that, not the students. So, and do the students have adequate knowledge or they have that overview of everything? They are not professionals. They are first year, second year, third year students. So how can they have a final say? There was a paper which was published from Hong Kong University in 2023, where they said the students as partners rather than followers, and that but is very important because they also took the conceptions of changing learner-teacher relationship in Chinese higher education. They contacted the teachers from Beijing, and it was mentioned what could happen and what could be the barriers. And one of the barriers is the cultural context. We always say that Guru Shishya, that when you use that term, that power starts coming in. The Guru with higher power and Shishya is a disciple following Guru. So that sort of cultural context one has to keep in mind. Along with that, number of other things can happen. And therefore, we decided that I want to ask you also, do you think such student-teacher partnership model will work in India? You can put in chat or you can unmute yourself. And Sucheta, can you see that? Because if I open it, sometimes my slides don't move.
Just stop sharing.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Yeah, now I can. Let's see if they want to say something.
I can't see the chat now.
I can see now.
Yeah.
What do you think? Can we implement this in India? It could work partially. Pile says yes, surely. Before that, yes, Rituparna says yes, definitely. Up level 2, definitely yes. Swapnil says yes, but start from first year. Yeah, that is Adil as well. Yeah, definitely it's an amazing initiative taken. So let's see. We as students from ERA, and we are just presenting to you one of our interns. She will present. So just go back and see. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Bahat. I'm a intern at ERA Medical College and Hospital in Lucknow. I've just been informed about Students as Partners initiative, and learning about it and hearing about it raises a very fundamental question that whether the system is applicable in India or not. Coming from the cultural background and ethical standing that we place our teachers as moral figures and figures with power, and to question their methodology of teaching and to alter that or to make changes in that is something that we often fear, and comes from two places. One, from a place of respect because we put them on such high standing, and the other one is also from a place of fear because we are afraid of their authority. Secondly, that there is a perfectly well and running system of education that goes around the country. So there comes a question that why there's a need to change a system that's already working so efficiently. And if we were to bring about the change, there would be a gruesome amount of work that would fall both on the shoulders of the teachers and the students involved. And for both the parties, time is something, and which is an entity that's absolutely indispensable. So I'm not saying, so as per my opinion, I feel that the future of this methodology being practiced in the secondary education system is not entirely bleak, but it's something still in the trial and error phase. It's unexplored water and uncharted territory, and to implement something that has not been explored thoroughly as such on such a large scale would be a little unfair to both the parties. So I think there should be a little bit more work done before implementing this system in India.
Thank you, Sucheta. Runal has written that yes, there could be right sufficient whether we can implement it, and I think that is absolutely right. Whether we have autonomy to do that, and especially now we are sending all our timetables and content, how we are going to teach to NMC. When the student teacher partnership is there and the students are designing some course, it may not remain restrictive. So that requires a lot of autonomy. And we have to also think about our role. Many a times we act as a second parent for the students. We tend to take the decisions for the students because we like to do the things which we feel are according to our convictions. So that has to also take into consideration. Uh, Thank you. And there are few more comments are there. So everyone is saying yes, it is the best thing that I have listened recently, which will make the students involved in teaching learning methods. Yes, for teaching learning, it may be so. To some extent, one can do that, and great mentorship will be needed, as it has been mentioned. Good. So we also felt that whether students understand their responsibility in that entire endeavor. So we asked another intern, and let's see what he has to say.
Let's see what he has to say.
Good morning, everyone. The responsibilities of a student in the student asset program are manifold. Now the question comes, how can we as students participate and contribute to a program in which our seniors and teachers are there? But yes, we can contribute. We can contribute by giving our views and a perspective, and by taking the note of the views and the perspective of our teachers and improving ourselves. Now the first most which we can contribute is, as we are called the tech savvy generation, we are able to better being updated with the latest developments which are coming and are able to do better research work through the multimedia. We are there on every platform, be it Instagram, be it YouTube, or be it WhatsApp. Now it is a role of extremely great responsibility in which we'll be partnering and working as a teamwork with our seniors and the teachers. Now the first foremost is that we should participate in it with full honesty and ethics, and need to be punctual to our work. There should also needs to be a dialogue between the teachers, seniors, and us, so that we are better able to communicate with them and to improve ourselves by clearing our doubts. We should be more vocal about our thoughts and should be always eager to learn something new. We it will also help the students, as it will be a great source for exploration into the actual world, rather than apart from the conventional reading from all the books only. It will also help in maintaining a better communication between our seniors and us, and to learn in a positive manner. Now, being the students in this, being the students, we don't have that much of knowledge and that much of experience, but by watching our seniors and teachers, we'll gain more experience, which will help us when we get a degree. And in order to improve ourselves, and we will be better able to help the society in this. Also, we must ensure that we are always updated with our work and research work, and to not draw back with the team in any manner. The seniors and teachers also need to be able to know that our thoughts and processes, as we have a fast flowing thoughts and a wide range of views, which will also help in creating better awareness programs. Now, we as a student will definitely have a great role in this, as it is a new thing. Much is left to the outcome of this program. Thank you.
So we've seen that the students, in a way, are open, but they have their own reservations.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do have their reservations. And for that, we need to find out what more can we do so that the students can feel motivated. and I would like to introduce you to the principles of respect, reciprocity, and responsibility. It's worth seeing what these three terms mean for student-faculty partnerships. Respect is an attitude according to which one values what someone else or multiple others bring to a situation. It demands openness and receptivity. There should be a willingness to consider perspectives that are different from our own, and it often requires a withholding of judgment. So the respect is an attitude, a way of thinking and being reciprocity, and to bringing reciprocity in a process of exchange. So respect is a sort of a precondition, and it is a reciprocal way of interacting, and both lead to a sense of responsibility for the actions and outcomes that the partners are working together to achieve. So this is a sort of a triad that all of us should keep in mind as we go into the process of working towards students as partners, not in the whole per se, as what the models say, but at least taking baby steps towards making them at least semi-partners. And for that, we need to create a sense of belonging. So when I write sense of belonging, what is it that comes to your mind? A quick thought, you can just put in the chat, and I think Nima can read out to me. And for those who are thinking, what do you think is a sense of belonging? You can also unmute and say, talk, but then mute yourself again.
Has written, they are my students and I want them to progress. So opinion is valued. So according to Swapnil.
Yes. Opinion is valued. Yes. So thank you everyone for thinking about the sense of belonging. And we have here Strayhorn, who actually has done a lot of work on this topic of sense of belonging. And he says that it's the students' perceived social support on campus, a feeling of connectedness, or that one is important to others in consonance with understandings rendered by other scholars. And it is a basic human need and motivation, sufficient to influence behavior. See how powerful this one sense of belonging is. And he goes on, Strayhorn, even in the latest reference in 2023, he talks about 7 core elements of belonging. He says that it is a basic human need for all people. How many of us um, have been called for, say, a get together, and but we don't know who is a part of that party, and how many of us want to know who all are coming to that party, or when we enter that room, how many of us hesitate to enter the room which is full of strangers, because somewhere deep within we feel maybe that perhaps I don't belong here. So that is what is meant by the sense of belonging in a way. It is also a fundamental motivation sufficient to drive behavior. A student may feel may not feel a connect with the other students. And that is why, suppose he just feels ostracized, that we have known of cases where students stop coming for classes. They just don't come. They just go sit in their room. Why? Because they just feel that they are being targeted uh, to be not one of them, one of the, groups. In fact, there's a lot of literature now which talks about, gangs. How do gangs get formed? Because there is this inherent feel, it has the good part and the bad part. The gangs in the bad sense get formed because somewhere these people want to have a sense of belonging somewhere. What about all these other groups that get formed? The religious groups that get formed, where people want to have this sense of belonging. So that's one of them. The third part is context, time, and factors determine importance. It depends on where and what level we are. In college, at home, you just want to, go and be with the family, and you want to be accepted in the family group or the family dinner. Uh, whereas as in adolescence or in our kind of setup in health professions, there is this peer group that is important and people want. So the time and factors also depend on this element of belonging. It is also related to a feeling that one matters. If someone comes to me and says, Sucheta, will you come with me to the emergency? And you feel that, oh, from all the people in the department, this person wants me to go with her. I feel that I belong. There is, when someone just says, can you explain this to me? Again, because I feel, because someone wants me to do something, I feel a sense of belonging. It is also the fifth element is, it says, it is influenced by one's social identities. When you are see, when our students become a part of the basketball club, so many of you have written in the chat that you have this club and that club, and people are part of those clubs. So they are because they are students go to those clubs and become a part of them because they are building their own social identities. It can foster positive outcomes and success. Actually, once when people belong, people start thinking well, people start working towards the betterment of not just themselves, but the departments, the institutions, the community at large. And it must be satisfied as conditions and context change. Remember that this is a very dynamic process. I think Maria, talked about it, and she said that she talked about dynamism. And here, this sense of belonging also, in the role she talked about it, but here I'm saying that even in sense of belonging, it has to be dynamic and things change. Some time I may feel I belong, and there are times when something goes wrong and I feel dejected and I feel I do not belong. So what Srehon did was he sort of superimposed this idea of belonging onto the Maslow's hierarchy. And what he said was that once the physiological needs and safety and security were taken care of, that is when after that the love and belonging can manifest. And he talks about mattering. What is mattering? Mattering is a feeling, rightly or wrongly, that one is valued or appreciated by others. And that is precisely what I said. I talked about attention, being noticed, feeling cared, feeling needed by others, feeling respected, experiencing self in others who share failure and success. So these are all the parts which will make people, which will hone this sense of belonging and will then lead to self-actualization. It is only when this happens, when the mattering takes place, will creativity, innovation, self-authorship, morality, spontaneity, integrity, all this will come in. And that is where we want our students to be. When they start thinking for themselves, thinking out of the box, because they are comfortable in the setup that they are in. And I come to the final part, which talks about yourself in all your forms. And it talks about a grounded theory in identity safety. And what does this say? It talks about threat mitigation. How can you make threats less severe? Look at this box here to my left, and where these Bullock et al. Talk about safeguarding the people and also starting a kind of an allyship, a friendship kind of a thing, where the mitigation dampens the threat, but it cannot be eliminated. You can do some hand-holding, you can make people come through, but yet there can be this identity of threat. And what are the 4 factors that they have talked about? They talk about unwelcoming learning environment, pressure to change behavior to fit in. No, you have to change, you have to do this, because this is how we do it. And being very, very aggressive about these things. Socio-political threat. All this will, and there is a lack of identity safety that is seen in people. So as learners develop into professionals, they navigate the process of professional information, identity formation, a development and socialization process by which individuals form the professional community. Throughout this professional identity formation, the learner's personal identities influence their emerging professional identity. And that is the reason why we come to the concept or the idea of identity safety. It is an existing safely, which is where you can be protected against threat. And this paper, which is a very recent one, a 2024 in medical education, talks about agency to serve, where you leverage one's identity to serve the patients. It talks about upholding personhood. It talks about experiencing, noticing others and upholding what they stand for and not really making them change. And last but not the least, they do talk about the sense of belonging and experiencing this belonging in the learning environment. So the identity safety can thus be protected by upholding all these 3 paradigms. So with this, we come to thinking about the culture of the school. And that is when the hidden curriculum comes in. But I'm not going to talk about the hidden curriculum. Again, as I told Nima, I think this is another topic for another webinar. So we'll leave it at that, but give it a thought. And we would like to end by saying that as we navigate in today's new normal, a collaborative educational ecosystem is what we should strive for, by empowering students as partners. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.
Thank you both, Sucheta ma'am and Nima ma'am. It was wonderful to hear you both speak eruditely, but also you have collected the latest evidence to present to us and say, look, this is what's happening in the research world as well. So thank you for that. I request you to please stop sharing your screen.
Yes, I'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you. And now we can have questions from our audience. You can raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask your question.
One comment by Mrunal, which I would, in fact, two, one after another. One, she said that we can think of open curriculum if we don't want that red tapeism, which is very, very correct. And we can involve our students while conducting EC or at-home modules and all. And the second thing, she's going to have summer internship program by MUHS in third year. And she said it is very popular and many students come, but for soft skills, you can invite students. That is not that, the Nexus 2024.
Yeah.
Nexus 2024, UG conference.
I would like to mention here, that you all have said excellent references. Thank you. But I would like to here acknowledge Paige Morahan from FAMER, who has been hand-holding me through this journey of sense of belonging. And we've been talking a lot about it. And she's the one who actually introduced me to this whole concept of sense of belonging. So thank you, Paige.
Chetna ma'am, before I give the floor to you, I wanted to share my experience as a student in a co-creation setup. So I was invited to be a student participant for the co-creation of the MHP coaching program at She Maastricht. Initially, I was like, why are you involving me? What can I bring to the table? I'm totally new to this program. So I was quite apprehensive about what's going to happen. But then the co-creator panel ensured that we were all having a very safe environment and we could express our views. But what gave me more confidence was when I saw that the inputs we were giving were being acted upon by the faculty.
That is very, very important.
So true, Josna.
We were getting the feedback that those inputs were being utilized for improvement of the program. As students, we came up with a lot more inputs. The second point was those students who volunteer to get involved in co-creation are generally high achievers. So maybe you can tap into the potential of these students to go ahead and ask their questions there. Over to you, Chetna ma'am.
Yeah, it's more of a comment. Excellent session, Dr. Sucheta and Nima. And what I really liked about your session is the evidence that you presented from around the world, with lot many articles. And, this is a very seemingly generic topic. If you if you just hear the topic, it sounds very generic. And I too did not know that there's so much of literature behind that and so much of evidence that has been gathered. And I was just thinking that how can we sort of transform it into action back into our schools beyond mentoring and, the research clubs, etc., that is so nicely talked about. And for example, a simple thing like building up scenario-based classes or involving the students during tutorials and handing them over the whole class, to conduct. These are the very small little things by which we can actually, put these partnering, concepts into practice. So
actually, you must have noticed there is a journal of students for
International Journal for Students as partners.
International Journal for Students as partners.
Yeah.
It's a whole journal.
I think it's high time we bring it into practice here in India too, and in a small way, and then progressively go.
And we are doing so many things for this CBME, creating so many resource material. So we can involve students with us.
Just a couple of days ago, yesterday only, I think NMC has released a Google feedback form regarding what sort of support students need. And it's a questionnaire both for faculty and this. And just today morning, I filled it up. And there too, there are several such questions, which related to this particular concept of partnering with students and how much support we really allow them, and in the true sense, and how we can do that. For example, how many departments in our whole institution actually believe in partnering with students, and what initiatives they take, etc. It's a very nice question, and lengthy though, so worth going through. Thank you. Thank you
Brunal
so
has
much.
raised.
Yeah, I think there are some more questions. I won't take away more of your time.
Brunal has raised hand.
Kunal, please unmute yourself.
Madam, I would like to have two comments. As I've mentioned, Nexus 2024. As I said, the red tapeism is there in order to make major changes in curriculum. But there are these opportunities given to us by students themselves. So when they asked me to conduct a cadaveric workshop, I could take them through actually how to design a workshop, right from, say, need analysis by asking needs analysis before the workshop, then how to keep everything ready. So those skills of managing, so what material required, all those things were also taught, followed by a feedback at the end. And then now they will be presenting a report of this whole workshop in front of principal and vice principal. So such skills can also be taught, and they really enjoyed going through this whole process. So there are certain things when we can sort of insinuate without cutting the red tape.
Correct.
That's the only comment.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, madam.
Very true.
I just wanted to mention that summer internship program, the applications are open now for the institutions which are already, registered for hosting the students. So there, it's at least there are more than 100 institutions which have volunteered to take students in summer. And like actually, VC ma'am has given me the data of the previous two cohorts, and a lot of the work that they're doing during the 2 weeks to 4 weeks that they spend there is participative, and there's such good qualitative data from there, which is very much in alignment with today's theme. So I still have to work on it a little more to be able to articulate it better, but that's a very rich experience. And this time it seems like the first year was 125 students, second year it went to 500, and now they're expecting 800 or something students to be enrolling this time. So yeah, so it'll be, and it's a lot of them are institutions of excellence where people are going to learn more about research, from career pathway point of view. We had some in the education department also, and there we talked about professional identity formation. I remember last year.
Hope to read your paper soon, ma'am, because we need more of the Indian experience being shared on the global.
Yes. Yes. The same thing I was going to say for Brunal. She should publish what she has done.
Yeah, can you get
Okay, madam. Okay.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
I don't think any questions were asked before. I'm going through the chat again.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad people are happy about it.
Okay.
He wrote that my daughter is in US college where senior students also are a part of interview team. So interesting.
Yes. And Medha was invited as a student to be a part of the interview panel for undergraduate students at UIC.
Yeah. Chinmay sir, go ahead.
Yes, excellent as usual. My question is actually we need more awareness among other faculties, because what happening that those who are in favor of student participations are always get blamed and taken put down that you are too much student friendly, you are asking student and you are taking them as a partner. So more and more awareness of faculties are also required that their participation is must, and that will ultimately improve. So we need to work on that.
Actually, the mindset of people, that's what I said. We need to change the mindset, and that will only happen slowly. We cannot suddenly say that this is what we are going to do. And, in every committee, everywhere, we will have the students. Now that NMC has said, okay, curriculum committee, have the student and encourage that student to speak up. Give him that liberty to say, to voice. And that voice should be the voice of the students that he is representing. So we can start there itself, and then slowly and research the STS. That's another thing. I mean, if you look at the whole umbrella, one or two things that your institute is doing best, you take that and hone it, and then just take it forward. That will help.
Thank you.
Manoj Patki, I think, is saying.
Madam. Good evening to all. Very nice presentation, ma'am. I'm also an ex-alumni from SET JSMC, but I'm currently teaching in Mizoram. But I feel, ma'am, in the current CBME curriculum itself, there are so many opportunities starting from first MBBS. I am a MU coordinator in this institute where ECE gives you this opportunity. Early clinical exposure.
Yes,
FAP,
yes.
I said FAP is a beautiful platform all throughout the continuum of the first year to final year. It gives an exposure to do that. Electives is solely for this, I feel. We need to exploit it. That's what my comment is, nothing else. Thank you so much.
Very well said. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Manoj also. Our experience with electives also has been like this. We actually experienced more enthusiasm and participation when students are allowed to, make a choice on what they want to learn, rather than we are telling them, let's learn this.
Yeah, currently that we have divided into block 1, block 2. I think in future, like US or Singapore or other European countries, you might give 1 month solely to their own research project. We might evolve that way. I talked with Supe sir on that. He said this is just a beginning. I think we may explore that way. Yeah, like Shidori program in GS, no? Like that.
Yes.
One of the challenges we face is the cultural hierarchy which exists in our context. If you look at the global West, there the student-teacher relationship is not strongly hierarchical. Whereas in the Indian
First name
context,
basis.
it's largely hierarchical. So how we create that psychological safety for a student to come on board and share that value and respect, what we were talking about, no? That makes sense.
The paradox here, Josna, is that we teach all the faculty that treat our students as adult learners, but when we actually go to take a class, we forget that we are talking with adults. That's the main issue. One of the main issues, right? But you have a very valid point.
It is actually a continuum. So you have to take them slowly hand over their
Yeah, and I think things are changing now. I feel things are changing now. I mean, over the last 5-6 years itself, there has been a lot of change, and still, like a way to help people, be more sort of transitioning to this more student-centered kind of a format. I've seen people tend to talk in third person. They students, they learning. Even when they make a slide, they'll say the learning of the student is supposed to. So why don't we say address them as you? You are supposed to be doing this. You are supposed to be. I think just that little switch is very helpful to the person, to change themselves internally, as well as it's nice for the student also to hear being addressed as you.
Yeah, and small things like, if you're just sitting in a small class and I mean, in a tutorial or something, just ask, have you all had your lunch? And would you like to have a cup of tea? Should we just ask for a cup of tea? I mean, don't make it a habit, but just these small gestures, and someone will say, oh, I just could not get. So I say, okay, let's get a vada also, and it has sort of just changed the whole atmosphere of that class, that small. Yeah, but maybe I had the liberty to do it, but I've done that in the past.
I would like to just add one point.
Interesting question. How to select student for committee in curriculum committee? I think is saying the good performers or the ones who are struggling.
True.
Literature evidence says good performers, high achievers.
Nobody will listen to them. Yes, no.
Because
or the class representative of the final of the third year.
Somebody who has an influence, I know actually more than the merits and score, somebody who has an influence in the class, and then we need to influence that influencer. I think,
and who can communicate to the class, other class peers, and get their information from them. And then
so most of the time, the class representative is someone who's elected. I mean,
it's
hopefully.
not on merit, according to
not on merit. No. The students elect him or her. So maybe that person can be chosen.
So at our place, there is a general secretary who is coordinated with all the batches, because curriculum committee is going to discuss matter of all the batches. So general secretary is, I think, a person who is in contact with the faculty also, and he has a dare to say
Yes, yes.
in opposite to whatever teachers are thinking, being a GS.
True, true.
So I agree with Swapnil. He said credibility of that particular.
But I feel it depends on the institution and what is the environment there.
Yes.
For example, in some institutions like ours, the students have a lot of hold over several of the decisions, including if they say nobody is attending, the whole class does not attend, mass. So, and whereas there may be some other colleges where parents, where the faculty does have a bigger say. So I think we can, sort of customize it according to them. Yes.
I think people can bring their experiences, and
Yeah.
mostly a multifaceted person, who is both reasonably good at academics, also has a, like a good
Extracurricular activities.
basically interpersonal skills, so little popular with his own, their own
I
fraternity
think
also.
that is more important, the having interpersonal skills.
Expression possible. Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah, communication. I would like to just add one positive point to it. Our research club for undergraduate was asked for by the undergraduate students because we always encourage ICMR projects. So through this, only one batch who was very enthusiastic, they have started with this research club. So it is club run by students so they sort of mentor the juniors. And they always see to it that they stay on track. There is a teacher, they go to a teacher, okay, they say, okay, we want to do a project under you. But then otherwise, the rest of the thing is done by seniors and the juniors are kept in line by them. If they don't work within the given timeline. So that is an initiative. So things are changing. The students do express themselves.
Yeah.
They're changing for good. That is.
So we can continue our discussion on the AHP webpage, on the WhatsApp group as well. And if you have any other queries, please send us a message. Okay. And Chetna ma'am, we are almost done. Would you want to thank our lovely speakers? And before that, can we take a group photo?
Oh, yeah. I would also like to thank the lovely participants, because I'm seeing the chat box is flooded with so many useful suggestions, apart from, of course, so many rounds of applauses and positive words for our speakers. So thank you all for being here. And yes, time for the group photo.
Yeah. So if you can all say cheese. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
So just one more word that next month we'll be having one more webinar, and we'll make an announcement soon. So you will receive the announcement, and we look forward to seeing you all there too.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patient hearing. Bye-bye and participation.
Bye. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Happy
Chetna.
weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.